Hey everybody, good morning. Happy Friday. How are you? Hope that you're doing well. Hope that you're safe in your part of the world and that everything is going good for you. I'm just grateful that it's Friday. It's a beautiful day out. It's a little cold where I live, but otherwise I think we're going to have a good day today. I'm looking forward to the discussion that we're going to have today. It's gonna be a good day leading into the weekend, leading into our Sunday tutorial, which we usually have. Now, I know I get a lot of new people, so just a couple of things on how we do the stream here. One, we do ask you to introduce yourself. Let us know your city, state, province, country. Just let you know, it's a nice, easy way for you to participate, to keep the chat inclusive and also keep the chat professional. I've been streaming now for a few months, and I take a lot of pride in having a chat that really isn't a lot of spam or a lot of negative things. So, it helps keep the chat professional when you introduce yourself. So that's our global roll call. And then after that, sometimes I give an opening note, sometimes I don't. So we'll just see. It's usually something I share with you to kind of set the tone for the session and maybe give you things to think about. And then after that, I'm happy to take your questions or help you with anything else you need. You guys basically set the agenda for what we talk about here, because I walk in with a couple of things I might want to talk about. Today, I might have an article I'll bring up on the screen. But at the end of the day, I'm here for you guys. I'm here for any questions you might have, any articles you read, job challenges, technical questions, whatever you'd like. I'm basically here for you guys. So again, we ask you to please introduce yourself, city, state, province, country. And let me actually add that to the Instagram. I haven't added that yet, so give me just a because on Instagram it seems to be a little bit more problematic. Okay, so now that's up on Instagram. But please don't be shy. Please let us know where you're from. And so for today's opening note, I did want to share something. In addition to everything that I do with you guys and the media and the content that I'm building, which I'm really enjoying, I still keep a roster of clients that I work with. And, the funny thing about working with clients and the whole process is that no two clients are alike, no two projects are alike. Everybody is unique in their own special way. And the process is still kind of special to me, if you will. So for today, this morning, I've been up since 4 a.m. I've been working since 4 a.m. I had a conversation with a potential client earlier this week, and I did send them a proposal to work with them. So obviously, that means I'm committing to a client. I'm adding a client to my roster. There's financial implications in that and whatnot. So even for all the consulting I've done, all the work I've done, the years I've been in the industry, it's still a little bit of a unique kind of like a nerve-wracking thing, right? Whenever you send a proposal, you want to make sure you're setting the right tone, the right message. You want to make it a win-win situation for both you and the client. So, that's something that's kind of top of mind for me right now, because I did send out a proposal this morning. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. It's always great to be working with a new client. I try to pick clients that are good people, inherently good companies. So we'll see where this ends up. But just keeping my fingers crossed. But I did send out a proposal. And it's always nice to get to the proposal stage, because sometimes when you talk to people, when you kind of follow different leads or have different conversations, sometimes they lead into something and sometimes they don't. Sometimes you don't even get to a proposal stage. But that's okay, right? That's just the nature of the business that you have to accept. That's the nature of consulting. So we'll see what happens, but I did want to share that because it is something that's, again, very top of mind. Because I've been working on it prior to starting the live stream today. So we'll see where that ends up. But that's the life of a consultant, right? You can't get a sale if you don't have a proposal, right? So you gotta get a proposal stage. You can't get a proposal unless you have a discussion, right? So you gotta keep moving. You gotta keep moving, and we'll see where I end up with that. All right. So again, if you're joining us, let us know your city, state, country, province. I'm already seeing a couple people. So don't be shy. We're getting a lot of new people. If it's your first time joining, you're probably not the only one, because I'm getting new people all the time. And we are approaching 100,000 followers on YouTube, which I think is super exciting, right? 100,000 followers on YouTube would be amazing. I think I'm projected to hit that in a couple of weeks, maybe another 2 weeks here or so. So, keep an eye out on this stream and on my YouTube for notifications on when we're going to have a 100K watch party. We're going to watch the numbers turn over. We did it for 10,000. We did it for 50,000, but I kind of screwed that up. I felt bad about that. I didn't do that well. And so for 100,000, we're going to have a very long stream. I'm going to have like a 12-hour stream leading up to it, like a non-stop stream until we hit 100,000 or something, right? Because that way, everybody has a chance to participate. And if you guys have suggestions on what you would like to do for a 100K watch stream, let me know. But that's going to be a crazy moment, right? 100,000 people. I'm telling you guys, if you had told me at the beginning of 2024, because remember, I just started this a few months ago, right? But if you had told me at the beginning of 2024, hey, you're going to have a YouTube silver play button by the end of the year, I would have been like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? I don't even know social media. I don't even have a channel, right? If you had told me that, I would have thought you were just like from outer space or something, right? But hopefully by the end of this month, we'll have a 100K watch stream. So we'll see, guys. All right, so let me go ahead and start going to the chat. Thank you so much for filling up my chat, guys. Khalif, our good friend Khalif says, happy Friday, Sir Dennis. We are doing good. Good. Glad to hear it, Khalif. Glad to hear that you and your family are well. Guys, so much craziness going on in our world, and I don't like to involve politics or any sort of those types of discussions here on my channel, but when I do see the things that are going on in our world, I do hope the best for all of you, because I'm so grateful to have viewers all over the world. If I look at my analytics, there's people from everywhere. So I do hope that, everyone is safe in their part of the world with everything that's going on. But I'm glad you're here, Khalif. Rex, my longest standing moderator. Thanks so much for being here, Rex. Good morning from NYC's. Good morning to you too, Rex. Hope you're doing well. Denelson, our good friend Denelson from LA says, good morning, everyone. Hey, Denelson, how are you? Hope you're doing well, my friend. Is it Matare? I think it's Matari. Hello, Sir Dennis. I joined recently. I'm greatly benefiting from this platform. I'm from Zimbabwe, currently in India, first year in data science. Okay, very cool. Matari, this is the channel for you, right? I try to give you real world advice. Your professors will teach you the academic side, and I'm sure you had a good university. But I teach the real world. I teach what actually happens in data science. So I think you've gotten a sense from that, because it seems like you've seen some of my other content. Maybe it's just your first time participating. So thank you for, kind of stepping out and introducing yourself. So glad you're here. Glad you're here. And I hope that one day you will tell me that you learn more from these streams than you did from your professors. That's my greatest goal in life. All right, Sam, our good friend Sam is back from the smallest state in Mexico. How are you, Sam? Good to see you. Dennis, is a pleasure attending your videos. Yeah, it's good to see you too. Glad you're back. I hope you're doing well out there in Mexico. My name, Dami Bello says, my name is Dami Bello from Lagos, Nigeria. Very cool. I have a lot of Nigerian followers. And I'm currently a system auditor looking for a transition into data science and AI. I don't have a best book for now. However, this is my cue to change this. Okay, very cool. Keep on coming back. Keep on learning. Dami, for somebody like you, and for anybody else in the chat who's interested, on Sundays, every Sunday I continue a series in my tutorials, right? I do these long tutorials, these multi-week tutorials. And Sunday, at the same time as you joined today, 1500 GMT, we are right in the middle of a tutorial on running a project from end to end, right? How do you build a data science project from end to end? So this week is week 6, I believe. I believe it's week 6. And something like that might help you if you're brand new to data science. Or maybe, you're early in your studies. but it's important for you to start learning right away about how to actually run a project, because it's so easy to get caught up in the academic side, the coding side, the math side, but there's very practical things that you need to learn for data science. So for anybody who's interested, we do that every Sunday. It tends to be longer, 2-3 hours, something like that is what we usually average. But you guys are welcome to join that. It'll be, it's a good way to learn too. But thanks for being here, Dami. Starry Vibes on YouTube. Hello, sir. Hope you're well. Hope you're well too. Hope you're well too. Thanks for being here. Noor, remind us where you're from again. I think you were from Saudi Arabia. Okay, Noor is writing quite a few. Okay, Noor, you know what? I'm going to come back to your question. I promise to come back to your question. Let me get to some of the other introductions, okay? Anise, our good friend Anise says, hello everyone. Hello, Dennis. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Thank you. What a nice greeting. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I think we are going to have a beautiful day today. I'm going to spend time with you guys. Well, starting from yesterday after the stream, I went out for my walk. It was very windy, but I was very proud of myself for still getting out there when it's windy. So guys, here's something that I'm doing. Let me know. I'm sharing this with you because maybe it helps some of you. I don't know. But I'm training for a couple of fitness goals I have in 2025. There's a particular race or a particular like type of trek that I want to do in 2025. And it's going to be 38 miles through the desert. That's what I'm planning to do in 2025. And obviously I'm preparing now for it. And when it's windy outside or cold outside and I don't feel like going, oh, it's so cold, I'll just take a day off, I always tell myself, well, what are you going to do when you have to go on that trek? Like, you can't just ask the organizers to change the day. Like, oh no, it's too cold today. Can we just do this tomorrow? Right? So I'm trying to get into this mindset of pushing myself forward and saying, well, what are you going to do on the day of? Or what are you going to do after that? Like, what if there's like an emergency and you have to walk somewhere? Like, you can't just not walk because it's too cold or too windy, right? So I've been trying to motivate myself by telling myself, well, just because it's windy doesn't mean that you're not going to need to know how to walk in the wind, right? Or you're going to have to deal with conditions, right? Like, you just have to, right? So that's one of those things where I'm sharing that with you because maybe it'll be a motivational thing for you also. But you got to push yourself, right? You got to push yourself, even if it's not a beautiful day, right? Today happens to be a great day. After today, I'm going to go for another hike somewhere, take my dog somewhere. I haven't decided where, but it's going to be a beautiful day. But thank you, Anise, for being here. Appreciate the good wishes. Sam says, I am doing well and enjoy my town in Tlaxcala, Mexico. Okay, cool, Sam. So glad to see you. It's been a while since we've seen you, a couple of weeks, but glad you're here. Sarvesh says, hi, Dennis and all. Sarvesh here from Mumbai, India. Sarvesh, you're such a great, consistent supporter. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Dami says, thank you for your advice for Dennis. Yeah, keep on coming back, Dami. And by the way, Dami, on Sunday when you join, you might want to join on YouTube because it's a little easier to see, right? But it's up to you, okay? AJ, thanks for coming back. Remind us where you're from, AJ. I can't quite remember. Remind us where you're from, please. Okay, Noor, so let me get to your questions here. Okay, so regarding my last comment, of course, I didn't mean to insult anyone. I just feel like DS works for me based on my personal experience. Okay, so for those who don't know, Noor is a new joiner on YouTube. And I was giving them a hard time because they were talking about how they were a computer science major, but they wanted to go to data science because it was easier. All right, so Noor says, I took many diverse courses in my computer engineering classes, from computer design and electronics to networking, and on the list goes. Okay, cool. That's a standard CE curriculum. I've done a little bit of all of those. Incredibly boring. For my bad luck, I didn't know much about different computer majors when I first had the opportunity to choose my major. But after all these years, after trying many things in the past 3 months, I figured that maybe Python is the best thing I could do. For instance, it's the simplest for me and I practice it the most. I also like to analyze data sets and create meaningful visualizations, even if I hadn't made many of them. Okay. I plan on practicing daily now and honing my technical skills. Are there free resources you recommend that will put me on track to hopefully become at least a mid-level data scientist? Okay. So Noor, a couple more questions there. Because you're asking about the technical side, you're asking about resources, free resources, and then you're also asking about kind of like the career path to become a mid-level data scientist. So as you may already know, and I think most of my longtime watchers know, I'm always curious about people's motivations for data science. You have to be very, very careful with that, Noor, because I think that sometimes people fall in love with data science for maybe not the best reasons. So help me understand what you mean by that. How do you define a mid-level data scientist? Yeah, so tell me two things. How do you define a mid-level data scientist? And two, over what time period did you imagine yourself becoming this mid-level data scientist? And then if you want to look ahead, the third question I would ask you is, you like creating meaningful visualizations even if I haven't made many of them. I plan on practicing daily now and honing my technical skills. Okay. Is there something currently holding you back from doing that? Like, why haven't you done that? Is it motivation? Is it interest? Is it direction, kind of not knowing what to do next? Let me know. Give me a little bit more information there, because I want to know, because those answers should shape some reason for why you want to be in data science, right? Help me understand that. Help me understand like the why, okay? AJ, okay, AJ's from Berlin. Thank you so much, AJ. Thank you for that reminder. Hope you're doing well out there. It's probably cold in Berlin, I imagine, right? I mean, most of Europe should be fairly cold right now. I mean, I know global warming and all that stuff, right? Okay, AJ says, hi, Dennis. Do most companies use Python for data science analytics? Good question. So, AJ, I would tell you that analytics and data science are not always considered the same bucket in companies. So I don't know if that's just the way you wrote it, but be careful about putting those in the same bucket when it comes to companies. Maybe if a company is just starting out, they would put them together, but most companies, after they mature a little bit, they view their analytics and data science as separate. And the reason I'm making that distinction for you is because you don't always necessarily, depending on the company, you don't always necessarily use Python for analytics, or really any programming language, right? Generally speaking, most companies would define analytics as stuff you would do in visualization or BI packages, like a Power BI, a Tableau, a MicroStrategy, stuff like that, right? So I have met some very, very good analytics people that have a very good foundation for data science, but they aren't programmers. Like I've met plenty of people like that. I've coached people like that, right? Where they're really good at analytics because they really know how to work Tableau, or they really know how to work Power BI, but or they really know how to work Excel, right? But they're not necessarily programmers, right? So keep that in mind. That's definitely like a thing. You could be a, pretty good analytics specialist and be a terrible programmer. Like you just know the basics. Or maybe you just really know Excel, and that's how you're doing your data prep and collection, right? Because that's probably what some of you would be asking, right? Well, how can you be an analytics specialist if you don't know how to collect data and, like create your own data pipelines and stuff, right? Well, the answer is Excel, right? So I've known people who are like Excel wizards and Tableau wizards, and they're very, very good analytics people, but they can't program a lick, right? So that happens. As far as the data science side, yes, Python is the dominant language. Now, if you ask somebody at an academic institution or some sort of science or research institution, you might get more people telling you that it's R. And sure, R has its place. But if you're talking about, I want to work for a large company doing enterprise-wide deployments, working on big models, working on neural networks, working on Gen AI, it's going to be Python like 99.95% of the time, right? Like it'd be very rare to find that type of enterprise, deep data science work and it not being done in Python. Having said that, it's also beneficial to know how to program other things, right? Like you're not always going to have a front-end GUI specialist to help you. So it's pretty beneficial for you to know how to put that together, right? And I said that yesterday, like, somebody had asked me a question that I answered on video on my Instagram about MATLAB. Is MATLAB essential for data science? Essential? No. Nice to know as like your fifth language? Yeah, maybe. Maybe if you're going to work in academic circles, maybe, right? But you're much better off knowing HTML. You're much better off knowing how to use Python to create your own API layers. You're much better off brushing up on your SQL skills, right? Like there's a lot of things that you could be learning in addition to Python that are still going to be very, very beneficial. All right. So I hope that helps, AJ. Let me know if that didn't clarify everything. But yeah, I mean that's my biggest, reply to you, that don't be quick to bucket analytics and data science in the same group, because to me those are separate people, separate skill sets in most organizations. All right. Anise says, that's a great fitness goal, Dennis. I agree that fighting against the days when you don't feel like running makes all the difference. Whoa. I didn't say I was running. No, my fat butt walks. Let's pump the brakes there. We have to push ourselves no matter how we feel. Yeah, we really do, right? We really do. And I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind pushing myself in terms of distance and stuff. It's more about, like, for me, the conditions, right? Like, because it's like it's so easy, right? So easy to say, oh, it's too windy. Yeah, I don't want to catch a cold. It's too windy. Or, oh, it's getting dark early now because of the time change. Like, oh, this, all that, right? So yeah, you got to get out there. You got to get out there. Yeah, and just to be clear, this guy does not run. At least not very fast. I do run a little bit, but yeah, it's 27 hours to go 38 miles in the desert, and I think I can do that. That's like the trek I'm going to go on. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm in the process of, getting ready for. But yeah. Anise says, even walking is a great form of exercise, to not underestimate walk. Yeah, I definitely don't. I definitely enjoy it, and I can feel my legs getting stronger and stuff like that. I did some hiking last week during my stream break, and I can feel like my legs are getting stronger from that experience. So I want to, I want to do more, in the woods and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I hear you. It's fun. I'm just not a very good runner, but that'll come with time. I have some time to prepare, so we'll see. Okay, so Rex says, since reputation is crucial in this field, how do you deal with difficult clients when the contract project has already passed midway? Rex, that's a great question. I love where your head is at. I think that all of you should be looking forward ahead to that, right? How do I make myself a good consultant? How do I deliver a project well? So Rex, every situation is different when it comes to that, like why did the project become difficult or the client become difficult, right? So, and there's really no reliable way for you to predict that. So what I like to do is I like to make sure that you can't predict it, so the best you can do is mitigate it, right? So I try to do my work up front while I'm engaging with the client in that discussion process. Like I do my research on who they are, how long they've been in business, their project history, who works for them, things along those lines, right? So I try to kind of nip that possibility in the bud, as they say, and try to, be informed going into it. That's really the best way that I found. So what does that mean? That means that I don't take on every client. I've had plenty of conversations with people where I'll tell them, hey, this has been fun to talk about, but my current schedule doesn't allow me to take on new clients, so I'm sorry. Maybe we can talk again in a year, right? Like, you don't have to be mean about it, but hey, I'm sorry, I'm a little too busy at this time of year. I can't take on your project right now. But I don't work with everybody. I mean, that's the bottom line. As I've told you guys before, I only do things that make me happy, right? So I only work with clients that make me happy, right? I get recruiters or other leads or whatever that come my way. Are you interested in interviewing for this? No, sorry, I'm a little busy right now, but maybe next month, right? So that's the best I think you can hope for, Rex. You just try to mitigate it up front and work with people that you really want to work with, right? But yeah, that's my best advice to you, Rex. That you can't predict it, so the best you can do is just try to work with good people. Don't take on everybody as a client. Try to do your research, But at the same time, I mean, you also have to do your job to make sure that the client is happy. It's a win-win for everybody, right? That you're accountable, that you're meeting the goals that you set out to do, right? So it also helps to just be a good guy, right? But I don't work with everybody. That's just the bottom line, I'd rather turn somebody down than have something turn into a headache, Medavi or Med4V, Med4V, we ask people to introduce themselves, so let us know your city, state, country, province, okay? So anyways, Rex, I hope that helped you, but that's what I do. That's what I've learned in my experience. Not every client that comes your way is a opportunity you should follow. AJ says, thanks for the detailed response. Yeah, I'm glad to help, AJ. It's a good question. Python is very important, but there's other things to learn too, right? All right. Michael says, hello, Dennis and everyone. Michael, so good to see you. Our friend from Nigeria. From Lagos, Nigeria. Nice to see you. Okay. So Noor continues. I think for me, mid-level is when I can translate business problems to projects and analyzing data to reach conclusions. Maybe not very accurate conclusions, but at least good ones. Okay. That's a little bit more than mid-level. And Noor says, during my last year in college, I didn't really know what career path to continue working with. I don't really know the reason, but I think I was distracted by the classes. Okay. All right. So Noor, your initial response is, first of all, realize that's a little bit more than mid-level, I would say, right? Because if you want to step into a role where you're expected to translate the business problems, analyze the data, and reach the conclusions, not accurate, but at least good ones. Well, that's a little contradictory, right? Because they can't be good unless they're accurate, right? But see, Noor, for me, somebody like that's somebody like that I would be hiring at like a data scientist level 2 type of level, or like an advanced data scientist. Maybe not quite a lead, but certainly an advanced data scientist. So that to me would be somebody that has at least 2, maybe 3 years of experience as a data scientist. And I'm talking work experience, right? So I'm not saying that to discourage you. I'm saying that to kind of give you a time frame for what it takes to get to that level, right? Because you're describing a relatively sophisticated help or a sophisticated level. Because, and also I should have said this earlier, but when I'm telling you that that's somebody like a level 2, that's somebody who I as the chief data scientist trust to work on their own projects independently. Like that's not somebody that I would supervise daily, and that's not somebody that I would write code for or something like that. Like my level 1s, I'm still writing code for them and maybe supervising them a little closely, right? Because they can't quite do what you described. My level 2s are my people that can work independently, right? So you're talking about a pretty advanced level, right? Let's go to your next message. So why do you think that you came out of your program without a desire for a particular career path? Is there a reason for that? Because look, if you got through this program, you're obviously intelligent, right? You're obviously a very smart person to get through these programs. So there has to be some other reason why you came out of it and said, okay, that was nice, but I don't know what to do. Let me try this data science thing. Or let me explore other things, right? And maybe just data science just came across your desk, right? So what were the reasons for that? Because I'm asking because if you don't like programming overall, then data science is not going to make you that much happier, right? So what do you think? What do you think? Give me some more feedback there, Nor. You know, I'm kind of pushing you on the because I think that there's more here, right? Like I'm still getting the feeling that you're walking into data science because well, let's just try this. It just seems like a good idea, but who knows, right? And that's not always a great motivation for data science. That's not going to keep you going. That's going to keep you looking for another career in like 3 years, you know? So let me know. Let me know. And if I'm wrong on something, let me know that too. I'm happy to be wrong. You know, I could be misunderstanding your statements. AJ says, is it a bad idea to include freelance work in your resume when you are looking for a full-time data science job? Asking because I saw a company explicitly mentioning no freelancers in their job advert. No, AJ, I think you're totally fine to do that. So AJ's asking a good question here, right? Because some of you, eventually maybe you will develop consulting experience, or maybe you already have it. And the advertisements may say no freelancers, right? So I realize that sounds contradictory. I understand why AJ is asking this question. Definitely include all of your freelance work on your resume. I have it on mine, right? I have it on mine. So definitely include it. When you see somebody talk about no freelancers in their adverts, it's two things. One, they're making it clear that they want a full-time employee, which is good, right? That's good for you. And two, why they really include this, the real reason, guys, is they don't want calls from headhunters or recruiting agencies. Because that's what they do, right? A recruiting agency goes through the advertisements, and they won't apply as an applicant. They'll reach out to the company and say, "Hey, I hear that you're looking for a data scientist. I'm a recruiter. Let me find you somebody," right? So that's all they're doing. They're just preventing calls from recruiters, right? So keep that in mind. Just because it says no freelancers doesn't mean that they don't want to see you having experience as a freelancer. You shouldn't take it to mean that at all. They're just preventing, somebody who was working at the airport last week and now is a technical recruiter coming in and calling them and wasting their time and saying, "I can find you the best candidate if you just hire me," right? So don't Don't worry about that. That's all they're doing. They're just trying to say, hey, we do our own hiring, no recruiters, and we want a full-time employee. Send us your resume. That's it. That's all they're saying. So AJ, go ahead and send in your resume. Go ahead and apply for that. Don't let that throw you off. Keep your freelance work in your resume, and just kind of go from there. Okay. Good question. Gosh, you guys are asking good questions today. Yeah. So Med Avi, let us know where you're from. Okay. I see you on Instagram, but let us know where you're from. Matari says, Sir Dennis, generally as university students, we are good in theory, but often fail to implement what we know to tackle real world problems. How can we deal with that, sir? Yeah, that's a common thing, right? That's a common thing. That's probably one of my top 5 questions that I get from people, right? So Matari, break it down, right? Break down into simple topics, right? Find the things that you did learn and go out and apply them. That's it. Don't worry about a big project. Just find simple things and go out and apply them and see them. All right. Here, you want a challenge, Matari? I'll give you guys a challenge. And anybody in the chat can do this. If you attended before, you've seen us do something similar when we discussed the if for my long-term viewers, you remember that we discussed the paper on the eye disease, the radial keratosis or whatever it was, retinal keratosis, right? So Matari, if you're a student, you probably know what p-values are, right? Most university programs globally, at some point in your first year, you're going to learn about p-values, right? So I just want you to focus on p-values. This weekend, I want you to go out and find me 5 white papers that mention p-values in their results. And I don't care what the white papers are about. They can be medical, they can be data science, they could be NLP, they could be whatever you want. Just find 5 white papers that talk about p-values from their experiments, from their results. And then I want you to evaluate what that p-value means for that paper, for that study. That's it. Just go out and do that. And then from there, pick something else. First year program, you're probably going to learn about confidence intervals. Right? Okay. Go out and find a study find another 5 studies that mention confidence intervals. What did you learn in class? And what does that paper say about their confidence intervals? And that's it. Just take those small portions that you learn as you go in these classes, right? You probably don't want to wait till the end, right? But as you go in these classes, go out and learn about those, right? And say, okay, well, like, are these researchers in this white paper presenting a good result or a bad result? What do I know about p-values? And then what are these researchers saying? Or I read about a new survey and this is the confidence interval they're claiming. Okay, is that good or bad? Just go and do that. That's going to help you make those connections from the classroom to the real world stuff. That's what I used to do. Because when I went through my classes, I loved every second of it. Like every day was like a new discovery. I was like, oh, wow, this is cool, right? So when I would see things, I would say like, oh, cool, let me go get that. Let me go find something else, and I would go relate it. And that's going to help you to start doing the practical side of it. It's also going to be eye-opening to you, right? Like, when we did the study here online, like a lot of us were surprised by p-values, right? P-values are not always what they seem. So it's going to help you make those connections too, right? So I hope that helps, Matari. But there are very, very simple things like that you can do to help you along with that. Okay. Rex says, how do you manage and provide feedback for low performers? Great question, Rex. Difficult to answer because when it comes to low performers, there's a lot, and when it comes to large companies, there's usually a lot of HR policies around that. So I've been in situations where you might have a low performer, but you can't address them directly. You have to go through HR. So that's always a delicate topic. So that's what I would tell you, Rex. I don't have a lot of experience with it directly just because it's not really allowed, right? Because there's legal implications and policy implications that can kind of come into that. So yeah, it's a touchy subject. I mean, really all of HR is kind of a touchy subject, you know? Like one of the things I always thought was funny is that, like, you know, one of the fun things about like being a manager is that you get to call people and let them know like when they got the job, right? So I would be able to call interns and tell them when they got the job, or like new people that I was hiring, I would get to call them and tell them, right? But even then it was like HR gives you a script on what to read. And like you can only read from the script. You can't say anything else. Or in other cases, I could only call them after HR already called them. So I could call them like in a congratulatory way and say, hey, I heard you got the job. Congratulations. Or, hey, I hear you're going to be joining us for the summer. You know, look forward to seeing. But like you would literally have to wait for HR to give you the green light to call them. Like you couldn't do anything before that. So it's very, very policy driven, Rex. So especially when it comes to like the low performers, like I would never approach a low performer without, at the very least, my boss knowing about it and or HR knowing about it. So, I mean, I know that's not an exciting answer, but that's really the reality in corporate America, right? Or most corporate environments, right? I'm sure the same applies in other parts of the world. But it's all policy and HR driven when it comes to those types of conversations. Okay, AJ says, what advancements in AI are you most excited to see in the future? Oh gosh, a lot of them. A lot of them. A ton of them. I'm really excited about, you know, as far as like what's coming up like in the near horizon. I would say like some of the stuff around generative AI for video is super exciting, right? Like, you know, if you believe the demos that are out there and all that, there's going to be some cool stuff as far as, you know, AI for video. So I'm excited about that. That's pretty cool. But you know what I'm not excited about on the same token is that I think that the more AI advances, and I think we're already seeing this, you're going to get a lot more junk on social media, right? Like there's good, it's even now, you know, even now, if you're willing to do graphic and text, there's a lot of tools that can help you generate a lot of social media content, right? And I'm sure you guys are familiar with this, right? There's plenty of the faceless, you know, AI only accounts, right? So I'm not excited about that. I think it has the potential to make a lot of channels really trashy, right? And when I say channels, I mean like media channels, right? Like I'm not just talking one channel on Instagram. I'm talking like all channels on Instagram, right? Like, could there be a time when people just give up on Instagram because it's all AI generated nonsense? Yeah, absolutely, right? That could happen. So I'm not excited about that part, right? But overall, AJ, I would say that generative AI for video has a lot of potential. You know, like the demos I'm seeing and stuff like that, I think are pretty cool, right? And you know, I'm probably more optimistic that that's going to be more immediately available, right? Like, you know, like Android robots, that's not coming soon. Self-driving cars, that's not coming soon, right? At least not full autonomy, right? But Gen AI for video, I mean, I think it's a reasonable expectation that we're going to see a lot of that in 2025, right? You're not going to see Android robots in 2025 in your home, right? But Gen AI for video, Gen AI for audio. And then also, I'm also looking forward to the improvements in the code generation, right? The text LLMs are only going to get better and better, guys. So I'm looking forward to that too. You know, I mean, it already does pretty good code. So to project ahead and think about where it'll be, like in 6 months, a year, that's pretty exciting. I'm excited about that. Yeah. Okay. So let me jump ahead to Anise and then I'll come back to Noor. So Anise says true HR policies are kind of rigid. The hiring manager needs to pass by HR for. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think most people realize that. But yeah, like for me as a manager, I was very limited in like I said, even on the good stuff, even when like I wanted to call you and tell you, hey, you got the job, like there were still HR policies around that, or HR had to make the call first. I couldn't be the first call. Or when you interview people, how many people are in the interview, right? Like, are you doing a panel interview or are you doing a one-on-one interview? Different things like that, right? So it's very HR policy driven, Rex, you know, coming back to Rex's question. So yeah, Rex, I mean, I have never approached a low performer in my life. You know, I would usually let HR handle it or my manager or even my manager's manager, right? Like that's where you're bringing in the managing director or something like that, right? But like for me to approach somebody like that directly, like without anybody else knowing, that's asking for trouble at most companies. But yeah, Anise, appreciate that feedback, you know, and I think most people who have worked in big corporate environments know what I'm talking about. You know, everything is just policy driven. All right, so Noor says, my colleagues and teachers used to say that too. They told me that I'm smart and my grades were excellent, but I realized that I'm like jack of all trades, master of none. Okay. Khalif says, grades don't matter. I stopped caring a long time ago. Okay, cool. So Noor says, I don't think that DS is going to be easy because there's nothing too easy to do. But after looking at what it involves, most of it I already took classes in. So it's going to be easier than if I was completely new to it. Maybe I took programming, ML, probability, and math classes. Okay, that's good. It sounds like you have, well, first of all, it sounds like you have self-awareness about, you know, where you're going, which is good, right? You got some guidance from your professors, which is good. It sounds like you're taking some appropriate classes, right? Probability classes, that's excellent for data science. Machine learning, excellent, right? But I'm not hearing the why. Why, Noor? Why data science? Like I'm hearing you have the tools behind it, but not the why. Like why do you want to do this? Like, so Noor, where we're going with this is that, you know, I made a mid-career transition into data science, but that was based on me doing reflection of what I wanted to do. And I realized that I wasn't happy doing software development, right? I was bored. I had done everything in the field, you know, just great paycheck, great way to make a living. I had great clients, but I just wasn't excited about it, right? So I recommend the book called Mastery by Robert Greene, because the whole point of that book, the whole advocacy of that group, of that book, is to find your life's work. What is it that you want to master in life? And that's kind of what I'm hearing from you, right? The jack of all trades kind of suffers from that, right? What is it that you want to dedicate yourself to in life? Because if you don't find that, then like I said, my fear for you is that in 3 years, you'll just be looking for another job. Oh, I tried the data science thing and I didn't like it, right? So that's really kind of what I'm trying to avoid here. So this sounds like it might be a period for you where you could just think about that and think about, well, what is it that I want to master? And you have to be open to that answer being in machine learning, technology, programming, whatever you want to call it. Or it could be something else. Maybe your passion is to own a restaurant or, you know, do something else, right? Like for me, you know, one of the things that I know kind of burns me out sometimes about programming and even data science is that it's very electronic, right? It's always pushing keys on a keyboard. It's not mechanical. I don't get to see things working and connecting, right? So that's why I like cars. You know, I also have an interest in cars because cars are much more mechanical, right? So maybe, there's something inside of you too that's saying, well, maybe I just don't like all of technology or just running code on a computer. I like to see things working, right? So that's why I'm kind of keeping on digging more and more, because I'm not hearing the why. Like, why aren't you telling me about wanting to master graphic design, let's say, right? Like somebody from your background could decide and say, hey, I'm pretty good with computers, and I can be a creative person. I'm going to go into graphic design, right? Like, I'm not seeing a difference between that and data science just yet. So let me know. This is an interesting thread, but tell me the why. Like how do you know you don't want to just like work with dogs or something, or like find another passion, or another mastery? Let me know. Let me know what you think there. All right, so if you guys are just joining us, we ask people to introduce themselves. Let us know your city, state, province, country. Really easy way for you to participate. I think I'm still seeing a couple of people over on Instagram that haven't introduced themselves, I think. But, happy to take your questions and anything else after that. It's a good way for people to participate, grow the community, see where people are from, right? I love the fact that I've been able to build a global community here because, I love traveling. So always happy to see people from all over participating. Khalif says, at Noor, good for you. Yeah, Noor, I really hope I'm not sounding too discouraging. It does sound like you've taken some positive steps towards data science. But why? Why? We all have to have a why, right? Otherwise, it's just, I don't know. Like, as I've told you guys before, don't do things for money. Don't do things because your friend told you it'd be fun, or you heard somebody got a good job in it, or because Google hires a lot of data scientists, right? Do things because you want to, right? I mean, look, guys, the last, and I tell you this from my experience because I've made that mistake. There's been 2 times in my life where I made a move for money, right? And the first time I did that, I left a pretty good company. I left a pretty good situation. And I ended up working for a company that was based in Denver. Ugh. Guys, I chased money and I ended up working with people from Denver. Oh gosh, I'm sorry guys. I had to sneak that one in there. It's been a while since I've shared one of my biases with you, so I had to slide that one in, because don't end up in Denver. All right, guys. Any other questions? Anything else? Anybody else want to introduce themselves? I'm here for you guys. I love the agenda that all of you have set out today, because lots of really good questions today. Such a variety of questions. But this is a good time to remind you about our Sunday series. Please come back on Sunday. We are building a project from beginning to end. We started by getting our client contract. We did some agile planning. We went into a data collection and ideation phase. We did a couple of scoping tasks as far as seeing the viability of some of our ideas. And now we're at a stage where we're actually, kind of making some final decisions and saying, okay, this is what we're going to do for the client. We're going to start formalizing that a little bit as far as our code and whatnot this coming week. So if you want to join us, if that sounds like a good time to you, if you're in data science, it should be. Feel free to join us on Sundays, same time as this. Khalif says, I like the prospectus for Dennis. Why? Yeah. I think we have to have a why in data science, right? Like, don't go into data science just because you took a Python course. Go into data science because you like predicting the future, right? I mean, that's why I like it. Because, we're predicting the future. We're automating human tasks. It has a tangible effect on people, on business processes. That's pretty cool, right? So that's what I would tell you guys, right? All right, guys. So thank you so much for the time we spent together. I really hope that you got something out of this. I get something out of every stream because I learn a lot from you. So I hope that you're learning something from me and from each other. But I stream every day, 1500 GMT. Sundays, feel free to join us. But until then, please take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.